Mr. Andrew Percy.
Mr. Speaker, I plan to be quite uncompromising in my opposition to Amendments M and L, and then, without a hint of hypocrisy, argue for compromise in terms of where we end up. Now, we've heard a lot in this debate recently about marches. The only march I am interested in is the march of my constituents in that referendum in 2016 to vote, as they were asked by this Parliament a final time on our membership of the European Union or not. We were not told that we were promised, rather, by both sides in that campaign that the decision of the people would be implemented. That was what the Remain side and the Leave side said. And the Remain side spent the whole of that campaign telling voters how terribly complex leaving the European Union was going to be, how really difficult it was. And yet voters still went out, many of them for the first time in my constituency. I had people stopping me on election day saying to me, how do I vote? Where do I go? How do I do this? Because I want to express my opinion on this question that Parliament has told me is mine to make and will be implemented. And now to go back to those people, just because some people in here don't like it, or rather more because we've actually messed it up amongst ourselves, this whole process of leaving, to then turn around and say, well, we've made such a terrible mess of it, we're going to go back on all of those promises, is completely unacceptable. And I am appalled at the way in which my voters, many of my voters, 70% of them who went out and voted Leave, have been belittled and besmirched since they took the decision they were asked to make. Their age has been an issue in a democracy. Age, an issue as to how valuable your vote is. Their educational standards have been an issue. Whether they've had a degree or not has apparently it places some value on your vote. They have been told that they live in the wrong part of the country, that they have views that they do not have, but people have told them why it is they took the democratic decision they had every right to take, and that they were promised by this House and by both sides would be implemented. So I say I'm not going to give way because I do want to stick to the 5-minute timetable. So it would be appalling, Mr. Speaker, to go back in a second referendum. And how would I say to a constituent who said to me the other day when he contacted me, they said, why is it in this matter of the European Union, Remain only has to win once, but Leave has to win twice for our decision to be implemented? So yes, it's complicated, yes, it's difficult. Some people in this place may even have deliberately made it more complicated than it need to have been, so they could be proven right. Certainly there has been incompetence that has made this more difficult than it should have been, and I will not say where that incompetence has necessarily come from. But it would be appalling, Mr. Speaker, to go back to constituents. I think what it would unleash as well would also be pretty dangerous, because I am saddened by how certain elements in the political, the extremes of the political sphere, have tried to take hold of this issue for their own particular disgusting brand of politics, which I want nothing to do with. And there is no doubt those people would play a bigger role in a second referendum. It would divide the country in a way. For what purpose as well? To then perhaps, if you look at the current polling, maybe reverse the result in the other direction. And I just think this is a very dangerous thing that this House should avoid at all costs. I'm not going to have time to really say a great deal about the idea of revocation. I know this has been put forward by the SNP. I do wonder what their response would have been had we had a successful Scottish referendum and then this House had decided it knew better and decided to revoke that referendum. Now to the compromise, Mr. Speaker, because I have been, since I came to this place, my views on Europe haven't changed. I've seen some of my colleagues move into further positions which I cannot get my head around, but we need to bring this to a conclusion. And we need to bring it to a conclusion through a process of compromise. There is a lot in the Prime Minister's deal I do not like, but I have voted for it and will continue to vote for it. And I've put my name to the amendments for Common Market 2.0 and for EFTA. I have concerns around the issues with free movement because some of my constituents clearly have very strong views on that. But this is a way in which we can come together. We can say and accept the result of that referendum, which was people saying very definitely they do not like the political institutions of the European Union. There is a way through this. So I do do think this House should look very closely at the propositions in terms of Common Market 2.0 and EFTA. And I will be supporting, though, I'll be voting for every leave option this evening, Mr Speaker, because I just want to get this damn thing over with and resolved in line with what my constituents voted for in 2016. And my final comment, Mr Speaker, is this, which is that I hope, Mr Speaker, we will, and I have been a big supporter of yours in the Chair, I hope we will have the opportunity to again vote on the Prime Minister's deal. I do think this is an important way of trying to bring this to a close.
Thank you.